What's going on? Welcome back to the 1776 Report. My name is Kevin. Over July 4th weekend, millions of Americans head to movie theaters and watch a film with their friends, with their family. And over this past July 4th weekend, one film stood out and topped the box office numbers, and that was The Sound of Freedom, a Christian-based film which centered around a theme that there is a terrible child sex trafficking network out there, and this guy who worked for the Department of Homeland Security, Timothy Ballard, true story, went out and tried to save some kids. Sounds like a great plot, sounds like a great movie, a great film that everybody should go and see, right? Well, not according to the woke left. The woke left is infuriated that this movie is seeing success. They do not want this movie to be successful. And the fact that it is absolutely crushing Disney's Indiana Jones is making the woke mob cry and lose their mind. Sound of Freedom becomes the top grossing July 4th movie, beating out Indiana Jones. Angel Studios' Sound of Freedom took the top spot in sales July 4th, surpassing Disney's widely panned Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. The action film, starring Jim Caviezel, is based on the true story of former federal agent Tim Ballard and his mission to save children from human trafficking. On its first day, the film took the #1 spot at the box office, grossing over $14 million. The film has reportedly earned nearly all of its budget back just on the first day of release. Sound of Freedom beat Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which played in nearly 2,000 more theaters and had a reported budget of $300 million. All right, so The Sound of Freedom, a Christian-based film centered around ending child trafficking, which everybody should be in line with, right? Who in the world is not against ending child sex trafficking? I would like to know that. Apparently, the liberal left is not in line with that because they are mad. Okay, so Indiana Jones is in 2,000 more theaters. It had a budget of $300 million versus a movie that is not in nearly as many theaters with a fraction of the budget, but the small movie is beating it at the box office. The franchise sequel took in $11 million, while The Sound of Freedom took in over $14 million at the box office. Audience gave the movie an A+ and 100% score on a movie rating site, Rotten Tomatoes. Thanks to the fans around the country, Sound of Freedom earned the top spot as America's #1 movie on Independence Day. Neil Harmon, CEO of Angel Studios, announced in a press release, "This movie is beating the woke Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny. It is beating it, and Disney spent way more money producing Indiana Jones. The left's religion is being woke. Woke is their religion. So when they see another religion's film beating their religion, they get angry. They cry. They get mad. The Sound of Freedom is a Christian-based movie. And Christianity, this movie, is crushing their woke religion, and they can't handle it." Here's an article from The Guardian, published on The Guardian, bashing this movie, bashing this Christian movie, which is a true story, by the way, about a man who quits his government job to go take down child sex traffickers. Now, keep that in mind. Here's how the article is written. Type the word Sound of Freedom into Twitter. Decent people who wish to live good, happy lives should under no circumstances actually do this. And the search will yield dozens of triumphant reports crowing about the improbable victory of a film by that title over the likes of Indiana Jones at the box office this week. Then it goes into a whole bunch of details how The Sound of Freedom is a QAnon conspiracy theory centrist movie that is pushing right-wing propaganda that is not as good as Indiana Jones, and the only people that are going to watch this movie are right-wing extremists. This is exactly what's wrong with the woke left. You see, their religion is being woke, pushing gender-affirming care, pushing trans ideology, pushing the LGBT blah, blah, blah agenda. And when their religion faces off with Christianity, and it loses, they lose their mind. You see, the people that are actually going to see The Sound of Freedom are Christians, white, black. They don't really have to be religious. You could just believe that children shouldn't be trafficked across our border or trafficked in other countries, that they should have the right to live their life without being exploited. But you see, they don't care about that. The woke left does not care about that. The only thing they care about is their woke religion being triumphant over other religions, and it's just not Christianity. The woke left wants to beat down Muslims, wants to beat down Jewish people. They hate actual religions because their religion is pushing woke ideology. Here is the actual Timothy Ballard, the dude this movie is about. The main character, Jim Caviezel, stars as this man. Take a listen to what he had to say on the Jordan Peterson show.
Start with you. I mean, the movie makes the case that there is a widely expanding network of slavery, essentially making itself manifest worldwide, concentrating in no small part on very young children who are being sold repeatedly to pedophilic psychopaths to have at their will, and of course can be sold repeatedly for that purpose. And the movie makes the case that this is now an operation that's rivaling the drug trade in magnitude. So, it sounds like yet another right-wing conspiracy. So please, why don't you walk us through what you know and help me understand, and everybody watching and listening, exactly what you think is going on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jordan. We're so grateful you take your time to do this with us. So I spent 12 years as a special agent, undercover operator with the Department of Homeland Security. Most of my time, 90% of that time, was spent investigating these cases, child crimes, child trafficking. And in fact, those numbers are correct, that are being, these are Department of Labor, UN, these are sources that, the best we have, that say that there's close to 6 million children or more who are forced into sex slavery, labor slavery, or organ harvesting. And I can attest that I have been involved in cases involving all three of those forms of slavery multiple times, and absolutely is a real thing. It's not even far from home. The United States is the #1 consumer year after year of child rape material. And oftentimes we're close to #1 in production. And it's a serious matter. The case, the story in Sound of Freedom kicks off with the rescue of a little boy at the port of entry at the southern border. That's a real story, a real boy that I was on that port of entry. I was 10 years on the southern border. So when you have 85,000 unaccompanied minors showing up in the last 2 years, being let into the country without the sponsor being vetted, DNA checked, background checked. I call it the economy of pedophilia. The United States, we're the demand. 85,000 children, thousands of them are under 5 years old, are let into the country. So we have a serious problem, and it's not being addressed as it should be. Hopefully, this film can do that.
What has been your experience with regard to so-called mainstream media or legacy media coverage? How much attention has been paid to this? And if not much, why? And if reasonably, who and how?
Well, I think not very much has been. Attention has been given by mainstream media.
It is 100% real. It is not a right-wing conspiracy theory that children are trafficked. In fact, human trafficking is a $100 billion plus business. It is a business. It is a massive industry. It is bigger than some Fortune 500 companies that are traded on the stock market. Its annual market is bigger than billion-dollar companies. It is a huge business, and it needs to be talked about. It is not a right-wing thing. It is not a left-wing thing. But anytime a faith, religion-based thing is being successful, the woke left, which is anti-religion, they are demonic, they are satanic, is going to try and take it down a notch. Here's an article from the Jewish Journal. Remember, this is a Christian film, but the Jewish Journal, they get it. Why is the media ignoring The Sound of Freedom, a film about child sex trade that did better than Indiana Jones? Does the mainstream media have something against Christian-friendly entertainment companies that specialize in wholesome content? How else to explain the virtual blackout of The Sound of Freedom, a thriller that exposes the child sex trade and grossed around 11 million on July 4th. It was actually 14 million. According to Yahoo, its per-screen average was nearly twice of that of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, with about $4,400 in 2,600 theaters compared to $2,500 in 4,600 theaters. This guy goes on to say that the media is basically blackballing this film. Why are they doing so? Well, it's very simple. Because the mainstream media is woke. The mainstream media is only going to push their narrative, their propaganda. They're calling this a QAnon film, a conspiracy theory film, a right-wing propaganda film, an extremist film, when in reality, it's based on a true story. It is fact. It is true. This actually happened, and child trafficking is 100% real. The woke mob will never, never say that a Christian film is good, even if it is the best movie of the year. This film will never be nominated for any woke Academy Awards or any woke Hollywood Awards. In fact, Disney had the rights to this movie for years. Disney owned this movie for 4 years, and they could have put it out themselves. Why did they not do so? Because it doesn't fit Disney's narrative. Disney was not going to put out a Christian-based film, even if it's a true story. Woke Hollywood is involved in this craziness. They will continue to be woke and stand in the way of true American values. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Have you seen The Sound of Freedom? Are you going to see The Sound of Freedom? Love you guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Until next time, peace.